Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back once again to another Fallout 4 settlement build. Today we're going to be checking out a new sort of junk wall that I made. And yes, this is going to be for a new town. I know we haven't finished the Raider City yet, but I don't know if it was just because we were down there so long, underground with nothing else to see but that, or just something else, but for some reason, I was starting to lose a bit of interest in terms of that settlement. So that's why I figured it might be for the best if we just take a little bit of time and try out something new. So for starters, what we're going to do is go ahead and check out the outside of the wall. I have done quite a bit of work to the inside as well, but we'll go ahead and get to that in a little bit. And by the way, I want to make it clear that this was heavily inspired by a short shot that I saw in the newest Fallout Cascadia trailer, especially this bus portion here with the chair on top of it, where presumably some kind of a sniper or rifleman would sit up there to kind of watch down wherever potential enemies could come from, which in this case would obviously be the main bridge. And then just in case they ever did get too close, to the point where they could just crawl through the bus windows, I've also added some defenses there as well, just to prevent that the best way possible. Now if we move over to the left a little, you'll see this is where the main gate is, and then you can imagine that either the name of the town or just some kind of greeting message in general would be put on the little billboard type thing. And as of now, that's been left blank because I'm not quite sure what I want to call this place. Originally, I was leaning towards Junktown as a name, hence the style of the wall and the cans hanging down. But as I got further and further, I also wanted to see if I could maybe come up with something a little bit more creative. So if any of you guys have some neat suggestions, I'm definitely open to those. But yeah, apart from that, there's also some more stuff piled up on the left to serve as more of the wall over here. And the same thing goes for all the way over on the far right as well, on the other side of the bus. Now, the reason I haven't continued this wall all the way around the entire settlement is because I personally think that's an awful idea. I would always suggest, for those of you building your own towns, to save as much of the wall as possible for the very end, just because that way you can sort of build the entirety of the town without actually limiting yourself in terms of how big or how small the settlement's going to end up being. So once again, that's why in this case I've only done the very front of the entire wall. Moving inside and starting over on the right, we'll go ahead and check out the inside of the school bus. And now that we're over here, you can kind of see how exactly the sniper actually gets on top of there using this ladder. But anyways, if we come inside here, you'll see I've tried my best to convert this into the barracks where the guards would end up spending most of their time. So there's plenty of fortifications as well as space for ammo too. And if we go ahead and crouch down here, you'll see I've also added a few maybe more personal items, if you want to call them that. So I think this, for instance, it just kind of represents that maybe one of the guards is typing something up for perhaps a relative or close friend of his. And all in all, although the top of the bus has a much better vantage point, I think inside of here is definitely a lot safer, and you still get a decent view of the outside area. That being said, as for the bus, that's about it. Although, like I was saying earlier, there's also a bit more junk over to the left side, just to kind of show you how the wall over there is going to end up looking. And then if we go ahead and move over to the right, this is where the other section is, and we've got a few cool things over here. For instance, the other sniper post, which I would say has a bit more cover than the other one, and also maybe a bit of a better view if you're looking over at the Libertalia area. So you could say each sniper post definitely has their ups and downs, or strengths and weaknesses, if you will. Also, I think over here you get a really good idea of the variety this wall offers. So what I mean by that is that I haven't just gone for a wall entirely made of wood, but instead I've also tried to include things like the shipping containers, which still makes sense since we are so close to the coast. So they, without a doubt, could have washed up from, say, a big giant ship like Libertalia back when it crashed. And with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to our final detail. And although it is very simple, I think stuff like this is often overlooked, which to me is kind of a shame because things like this, and don't get me wrong, it doesn't have to be a grave like we're looking at right here. These things can really come in all shapes and sizes, but at the end of the day, I think what they all do is add a nice bit of history to your settlements. So obviously in this case, what the grave represents, along with all the sort of knickknacks in front of it, are that someone very important in this community has passed away. And there was also a little bit more I wanted to tell here, although I'm not sure if I'm really going to go through with it. But for those wondering, I was kind of thinking that maybe this could be the Vault Dweller's last settlement that he helps out. And so maybe this is actually several decades down the road, and this is his grave. And if you look closely, you'll see that in that picture, the two people look very similar to the Vault Dweller and his wife Nora. And plus you have his flag inside the frame, as well as that toy soldier that MacCready ends up giving him. Once again, I'm not entirely sure if I want to go through with this, but it definitely could end up happening. But anyways guys, I think that should end up doing it for today. So hopefully you did enjoy the video. Please feel free to let me know any of your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one.